Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Timberborn. Boy, we're getting through this right now. But as you notice, the name of this episode, things are about to get a little bit cheesy. The game is cheesing us, but we'll more on that later. We managed to get through the massive drought, the 113 day. We're focusing on rebuilding that population. We've got brighter days ahead, where we can start to really focus on Reservoir 3, Bot, and the Fungi district, and also our end game idea of building that Repopulator. So all's good. We've got some extra birthing pods, we've got babies on the way, and we can forget about that nightmare before. But part of that nightmare and the reason why it happened and they all died was a food problem. And the food problem is one, because they're not making enough, and two, because there's not enough storage for the food in the other districts. We need to fix that. And the first thing that I decided to do was focus on creating more food. We analyzed where the food was a little bit low on some of our crops. We're good with corn, we're good with eggplants, but everything else is just a little bit weak. And we look at our food district and think, hey, we can extend this. We can bring this down to the level below. We can bring the water down and plant those crops there. The district is getting a little large, and we came to the conclusion pretty quickly that there is no metro loop designed for this district. I imagine it was because I can't remember now. I'd have to go back and look at why I didn't plan that. But all the new ones, certainly Robot and Fungi, have this really intricate metro system. And it's easy to design it when you first start than it is to retrofit it later. And we start to see some of those problems later on in this video. But for now, we are going, okay, we've got some land at the bottom of the plateau. We've got some land to the left. We are planting trees here for now. That might change into more crops, but we need every district to be kind of giving a little bit of a tree tax to the rest of the build that's happening around the colony. And as we saw in the 113 days, that was really useful. We had a good 50 days of just pure building, and they did a lot on Reservoir 3. I was quite surprised of how much they actually got done. What we're looking at here is, if I can get more food coming from here, it can supply the rest of the districts, and the plan is to hopefully keep over 150 beavers alive during one of the big droughts. They're all dying off at the end, and not because of water, but because of food. This district here creates the majority of the food that lasts the longest. The other food that's created in the basic districts is just that starting food that you do, and it just doesn't go very far. It takes a long time to make. So we are relying on food to supply everything. Now, as part of this, I was like, well, there's no metro. And that's causing a massive delay on getting the food to where it needs to get to. It's just not very efficient. And we start to explore all around the food district of where we can put those metros. And we came to the conclusion pretty quickly that we've got a lot of dead space, like, for instance, that wooden deck and that hangover. We're not going to be growing any food there. So let's use the dead space first. And then when we absolutely must, we take up crop space. We also work out to plant underneath the platforms. We need to be too high, as in 2 blocks high. And that allows us to build a metro over, only use 1 block of crop, and we can then plant underneath that. We designed the first 2 pretty simply. They went in without much problem. This one here, there's nothing we can get away from it. We're just not going to be able to plant crop underneath it and just have to deal with that, and we lose six spaces. And the reason I don't want to waste space, because the bigger the sprawl of these districts, the longer it takes them to get food, and the more breaks that they take. They have to walk longer to water, they have to walk longer to get food, and the sprawl just becomes really inefficient, and I want to avoid that. We're going to cut off the Badwater to allow the crops to grow in that area. This river you're seeing here of Badwater will be diverted once they build bot. The wastewater for here is no longer going to be exiting through here, and I kind of put that into a little bit of my calculations, but bot's going to take so long to build. I just left it, and for now this will work. We lose a few spaces to contamination on the ground, but it's not that bad. We then work out, okay, we need to bring our metro to the front. And this is where it gets a little bit messy and a little bit tricky. Because all of this was designed without a metro, you can build it directly over the pathways that we've got there, because we can't build water. And you see me do that a lot with power. But when it comes to metro, you have that really awkward 3-block station, and then you've got to get stairs down to it, and it just becomes a little bit of a mess. But what I was really happy was this area here. This design was almost like it was thought about, where we had that staircase going through the middle, the spiral staircases on the side. It just lined up perfectly to allow that metro station to sit there. And that's where our major connection point is going to come through. This side here was a little bit more messy. There's a lot of factories around there. There's a lot of paths around there. There's a lot of trees around there. So trying to find a route to thread the needle through, I believe the solution that we came with in the end was the best way to do this. We did follow the path. We didn't need to destroy any crop or any trees, and I'm really happy with that solution, that we didn't have to destroy a load of stuff doing it. And this connection went in easy, and that was the most challenging part of this design, was getting it from the back to the front. After that, I wanted to create a loop around the whole district, but before that happened, this happened. Yep, 25 days into Badwater, we get hit with a drought warning, and the gameplay totally changes. If you watch the long playthrough on this, it goes into management. How much water, how much food. I don't know how long this drought's going to be yet. You've got to wait 3 days until you know that. But what I do know is that we only have like 11k water saved, and we're going to be approaching 100 beavers. I can't turn the birthing pods off anymore. And what I can't do is, once a drought starts, I can't move beavers around districts. So we kind of went into this long play of, we need to get beavers in districts now, because when the drought starts, I can't do anything about that. I want metal blocks to carry on the build, and we need food coming from here, knowing full well that we're never going to save enough water to keep these guys alive long enough. But the food that was being stored here, I needed. Eventually, we got back to doing this. I wanted to finish at least the metro circuit off on this episode. All of the management was done. There's nothing more I can do. We're in it for the long run. And it turned into an 80-day drought. I think it was a bit longer than that. I want to say it was 88 days or something like that. The point is, we got hit with a monster drought. And again, I don't know if they're going to survive. That is a long time. And we did solve some of the food situation, and we don't have a lot of water stored. I think by the end of the episode, when the reservoirs were emptied out, I think we had about 25k water stored. It's not enough. I don't know what's going to happen. I say that every single time a drought happens, and if I dwell on it for too long, I'm not going to build anything. So we just went straight back to the metro and designed the loop. I always like creating a loop. I don't like creating dead ends. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can create them. I just like the idea that it just goes around in this endless circle. And this was piping in an awkward metro station that is in the middle, and then working out, how do I get it back around? And the best way for me to do that was take it over the reservoir for the dirty water. It's not dirty water, it's just non-drinking water. The point of that reservoir in the middle there is to provide water to the crops in a drought. at the moment, all of the water here and in the whole colony is being supplied by the drinking water in the reservoirs. And I thought if I created some separate water sources that only are hooked into the irrigation around the farms, that should keep the crops going longer and we're not relying on that drinking water that they're taking out. So it's a pretty easy path forward. We've done these before where we've created metro lines that go up to the top of a reservoir. We then use the platforms to then go across and then simply back down. And it was a little bit of a brain challenge, a bit of a 3D jigsaw puzzle, getting over that water storage and then back down to the pumps and get over the pumps. You can see here I'm playing around with a few things, but in the end, it went in nice, and I was happy with the solution. I want to say that completes the food district, but again, it's for now. We need to get a lot more food out of this. We need to get a lot more water out of this. It's all just becoming a bit of a management nightmare. We've got so much being built and I can't keep them alive to build them. And hopefully this change will help that in future episodes. And that was it. That's kind of what we covered in an hour in the long playthrough. We did a lot of work in the food district. We had an emergency situation where we had to focus on the management of the districts and the food to get us through this drought. I feel the game is massively cheesing me right now, but that's just the nature of it. It's set to 5 days to 100 days of good water. I could get a drought water warning on this 2 days in to a good water. I would like if it would stop giving me these over 80-day droughts in the middle of it all. That would be great, but I can't control that. I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Stay with me. This series is continuing on. I'm enjoying doing it. I'm learning a lot from it, and my content will only get better the more I learn. And the way I can learn is you guys commenting and getting involved. And until next time, take care of yourselves, look after each other, and I'll see you soon.